Chapter 1. The Battle of Seraphis. The sky burned crimson over the ruins of Seraphis, a once great city now reduced to smoldering rubble. Smoke coiled into the air like vengeful spirits, and the distant echoes of plasma fire still crackled through the streets. Captain Elias Varro adjusted the grip on his rifle, his combat boots crunching over broken glass as he moved through the wreckage. The war between the Terran Dominion and the rebel faction, the Crimson Dawn, had turned this world into a graveyard. Elias wasn't supposed to be here. His squad had been deployed for a simple reconnaissance mission, but when the rebels ambushed a civilian transport, he couldn't just stand by. Now most of his team was dead and he was stranded behind enemy lines. A faint whimper cut through the silence. Elias froze, his instincts sharp. He followed the sound to a collapsed building, where a young woman was pinned beneath a fallen support beam. Her dark hair was matted with dust and blood, and her once elegant robes, now torn, marked her as a noble, perhaps even a diplomat. "Hold on," Elias said, kneeling beside her. He activated the hydraulic assist in his armor and lifted the beam just enough for her to scramble free. She gasped, clutching her ribs. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice strained but regal. "We need to move," Elias said, scanning the area. "This sector's crawling with rebels." She nodded weakly. "I am Leora." "Elias." He didn't have time for formalities. He slung her arm over his shoulder and half-carried her through the ruins, dodging patrols and ducking into the skeletal remains of buildings whenever enemy scouts passed. Leora was surprisingly resilient, despite her injuries. She kept pace, her sharp eyes noting every detail of their surroundings. Elias didn't know it yet, but he hadn't just saved a noblewoman. He had rescued the heir to the Seraphian throne. Chapter 2. The Hidden Truth. They took shelter in an abandoned bunker beneath the city. Elias sealed the hatch behind them, then turned to assess Leora's wounds. "You're bleeding," he said, pulling a medkit from his belt. She waved him off. "It's not serious." Elias frowned. "You're lucky to be alive." Leora met his gaze, her violet eyes piercing. "Luck had nothing to do with it. You did." A silence settled between them. Elias had saved lives before, but something about her was different. She carried herself like someone used to command, yet there was no arrogance, only quiet strength. "Who are you really?" he asked. Leora hesitated, then exhaled. "My full name is Leora Seraphis. I am the last surviving heir of House Seraphis, the ruling family of Seraphis." Elias stiffened. House Seraphis had been presumed dead when the Crimson Dawn bombed the royal palace. If the rebels knew she was alive, they'd tear the planet apart to find her. "You're the future queen," he muttered. "If my people still live," she said softly. "If there's still a kingdom to rule." Elias swore under his breath. He was just a soldier, not a bodyguard for royalty. But he couldn't leave her. "We need to get you off-world," he said. "There's a Dominion outpost 3 clicks from here. If we can reach it." Leora shook her head. "No. The Dominion will use me as a political pawn. I must return to my people." Elias stared at her. "You'd rather walk straight back into a war zone." "It's my duty." He wanted to argue, but the steel in her voice silenced him. Chapter 3. The Escape. The journey across Seraphis was a nightmare. Rebel drones scoured the skies, and Crimson Dawn soldiers patrolled every major route. Elias and Leora moved like shadows, sticking to the ruins and underground tunnels. Along the way, Leora revealed the truth. The Crimson Dawn hadn't just attacked Seraphis for independence. They were after her. A prophecy among the rebels claimed that only a descendant of House Seraphis could activate an ancient weapon hidden beneath the planet's surface. A weapon? Elias asked as they crouched in a drainage tunnel. The Eternum Core, Leora whispered. A relic from the First Empire. Can amplify energy 1,000-fold. If the rebels control it, they could destroy entire fleets. Elias's blood ran cold. This wasn't just a civil war, it was a fight for the future of the galaxy. They reached the edge of the capital by dawn. The Royal Resistance, a scattered group of loyalists, had set up a hidden camp in the mountains. When they saw Leora, they fell to their knees in reverence. "Your Majesty," an old general breathed. "You're alive." Leora straightened, her exhaustion replaced by authority. "Rise. We have work to do." Elias watched, stunned, as she began issuing orders, rallying soldiers, and strategizing their next move. The frightened woman he'd pulled from the rubble was gone. In her place stood a queen. Chapter 4. The Final Stand. The Crimson Dawn came for them 2 days later. Their forces descended upon the mountain stronghold like a tidal wave. Elias fought alongside the royal guard, his rifle blazing as wave after wave of rebels charged. But they were outnumbered. "We can't hold them off," Elias shouted over the gunfire. Leora stood at the center of the chaos, her hands clenched. "Then we don't." She turned and sprinted deeper into the mountain, toward the hidden vault where the Eternum Core lay dormant. Elias followed, his heart pounding. The chamber was vast, dominated by a massive crystalline structure pulsing with blue energy. Leora approached it, pressing her palm against its surface. "Only my bloodline can awaken it," she said. "But once activated, it cannot be undone." Elias grabbed her wrist. "What are you planning?" She looked at him, sorrow and resolve in her eyes. "Destroying it." The ground shook as the rebels breached the vault. Leora closed her eyes, and the Eternum Core flared to life, then imploded. A shock wave ripped through the mountain, collapsing the tunnels and burying the weapon, and the rebels, forever. Epilogue: The Coronation. Elias awoke in a medbay, his body aching. The royal physician told him he'd been pulled from the rubble just in time. Leora, now Queen Leora, visited him days later, dressed in regal robes, a silver circlet resting upon her brow. "You saved me twice," she said. "First from the battle, then from my own doubts." Elias smirked. "Just doing my job." She shook her head. "No. You gave me my kingdom." He didn't know what to say. Leora extended her hand. "They serve as my royal protector. The war isn't over, and I trust no one else." Elias looked at her, then at the city beyond the window, rebuilding, rising from the ashes. He took her hand. "For as long as you need me, Your Majesty." And so, the soldier who had unknowingly rescued a queen became the shield that guarded her throne.